You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
PackersTalk.com. Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
Throws it up in the air, says a prayer, and Janis does not stop it! Oh, please! What a catch! That's insane!
You're listening to the best Packer radio show on the internet.
Cheesehead Radio.
Reach the
Guess who's back?
So I think that's the logical explanation.
Let's just, say that didn't happen.
It was a return to greatness. It was a return to form.
It's crazy. And he just kind of flew under the radar.
Get this out there so I sound good on Cheesehead Radio.
Yeah.
No negativity allowed, sir.
So I think that's actually going to be really exciting to watch. I don't think there's anything positive we can say. There's a lot.
Oh, you were looking for positive.
Yeah. I guess that's what I meant. Positive, I think. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another season of Cheesehead Radio, our 7th, hard to believe. Football is back, and I can tell because it's on my television as I speak. It's not the Green Bay Packers, but there is football on my TV, so we are back. Slight change up in our hosts. Let me go down the list here. Our hosts tonight are C.D. Angeli of PackersTalk.com and CheesheadTV. Famous for his War and Peace length blog posts and emails and obscure sci-fi references while he live tweets Packer games. We all love that. It is my esteemed pleasure tonight to introduce our newest host, the delightful Michelle Bruton of Bleacher Report and Cheesehead TV, whose knowledge and perfect phrasing will remind you of a book editor because, well, she is one. Not with us tonight is our longtime co-host, Jayme Snowden of Cheesehead TV, who around here has the superhero name of Stat Girl and is also known as the glue that holds the show together. Jayme is on assignment in Florida scouting the Jaguars for the season opener. Last and certainly least is myself, Jersey Al, coming to you from the beautiful Garden State, where even grandmas drive like Mario Andretti, and we live our mind-numbing lives just waiting for the next Springsteen tour, coming up in 2 weeks, by the way. Oh, and don't forget pizza and bagels. I'd also like to mention John Rahor, who is no longer with us on the show. John decided, like his hero Brett Favre, to retire from the National Podcasting League. Time will tell if he actually stays retired, tries to force his way back in here, or attempts to resurrect his career with a Vikings podcast. We certainly hope not, but for now, John, thank you for all the years of hard work and fun times. You will be missed. And sponsoring the Packers Talk Network this year are the fine folks at Ticket King. They have been selling Packers, Badgers, and other tickets in Wisconsin just short of 25 years and have earned a reputation for excellent customer service and prices. Be sure to check out their website, theticketking.com. And now, it's time for the news.
Packers News.
On Tuesday, the Packers activated tight end Jared Cook, inside linebacker Sam Barrington, and wide receiver Ty Montgomery off the PUP list. Those players returned to practice Tuesday evening. However, as Rob Demovsky reported, it's unlikely they will play in the preseason game on Friday against the Cleveland Browns.
And Packers quarterback coach Alex Van Pelt said Brett Hundley's ankle injury is not serious and that he's day-to-day. No word yet on if he'll play Friday against the Browns, but he's not officially ruled out.
If you're getting ready to go to a game this season, Lambeau Field will now feature walk-through metal detectors at all gates, which Packers Security Director Doug Collins says will be faster and more convenient for fans as they enter the stadium. There will also be express lanes for those carrying only pocket items such as keys and cell phones.
Express lanes, awesome. On Tuesday, the Packers signed former Purdue Boilermakers long snapper Jesse Schmidt off the street to compete with Rick Lovato. However, on Schmidt's first rep in practice, he broke his right hand. Lovato is now the only healthy long snapper on the Packers' 90-man roster. I'll bet he gets the spot.
Just maybe. Sam Barrington came off the PUP list weighing 22 pounds less than he did back in December. saying that he went from 258 pounds to, quote, a little under 240. But if you're worried that the inside linebacker won't be able to play the run at the lighter weight, he says he's also added more muscle.
I would love to figure out whatever the Sam Barrington diet is, because 22 pounds sounds awesome. Reserve lineman Don Barclay has been taking reps at all 5 positions on the offensive line this offseason, including taking first-team reps at center, as Corey Lindsley and J.C. Treader have missed practice with a hamstring injury and an unspecified illness, respectively.
Jerry Kramer fans, take note. This is very exciting. NFL media analyst Elliot Harrison included a note in his NFL Power Rankings on August 9th that he heard, quote, strong indications that 2017 will indeed be the year for Jerry Kramer to finally get inducted into the Hall of Fame. CheesheadTV led a huge charge this offseason with a handful of other Packers blogs to raise awareness and lobby on Kramer's behalf, so I'd like to take credit personally for this development.
Absolutely. Jayme and I actually replayed our interviews with both Jerry and Alicia earlier about a month ago, so it's pretty cool. Speaking of Hall of Fame inductions, Brett Favre spoke for 36 and a half minutes in his Hall of Fame address. It was an emotional and powerful speech, with Favre saying that he spent his career trying to make his dad proud. And Jersey Al, 36 and a half minutes for Brett Favre. I think I'm keeping it under my limit.
And that was your Packers news. And now it's time for your
Packer Tweets from Packer Tweets.
From Life After Favre author Phil Henrahan, discussing the now inevitable Jeff Janis Team Tebow comparisons, tweets this gem. Tebow Janis is pretty cold, but Tebow didn't return kickoffs, or did he? I am not the Tebow dialectician. Others are. Love that word.
Bringing back memories of when Aaron Nagler used to use his Xbox to preview Packers games live, Jay Hodgson at JYF_H got our hopes up after the cancellation of the Hall of Fame games by tweeting, ESPN will now broadcast 2 kids playing Madden 2017, Packers versus Colts. I would watch that.
How cool would that have been, right? Everybody would watch that. Anyway, from our good friend, the Packer Ranter, only fitting that he makes it right into the first week of our Packer Tweets, comes a tweet breaking down the decision-making process on Sunday. Here reports that the field in Canton was as bad as Soldier Field in December, and that's how they knew the game had to be canceled.
But with the Olympics in full swing and Team USA creating some magical moments, our top tweet this week has to go to Aaron Rodgers himself, who filled us all with patriotic pride when he said, love watching Team USA dominate. Congrats to the 4x200 squad and incredible gymnastics team and all the other medal winners. Champions.
And that was definitely this week's Cheesehead Radio Tweet of the Week.
Tweet of the Week.
Nice job with the stings.
Not lame at all.
I like them. We're
all right.
Long overdue for some changes there.
And speaking of changes, Michelle, just let me be the first one to welcome you
Thank
here
you.
to Cheesehead Radio. How did you do? That was your first news. Is it exciting?
Yeah, I tried to put on my broadcast journalism newscaster airs, so hopefully it was, working.
I've never heard anyone so efficiently say the word hashtag before. I mean, that was amazing. That was amazing diction right there.
I'm a millennial, so I think it's just built into my DNA.
It must be. So, Michelle, there are plenty of people who listen to our show that obviously know who you are, but can you give us just a little bit of background on what you do and how you got here and where we can find your work right now?
Yeah, so I got my first into sports journalism in college. I was the sports editor of the Williams Record, and then when I graduated college, I moved to LA, and I started doing work at Fox NFL Sunday, logging the games there, which was pretty cool. And then 3 years ago, I moved to Chicago, closer to the Packers, of whom I've been a lifelong fan since I was very young, and started doing some work for Big Ten Network, and eventually started writing for Bleacher Report, which I've been doing for a few years now. By day, I am a sports book editor at the sports book publisher Triumph Books, We do a lot of Packers books. They have some really cool Packers books coming out this fall. I just actually worked with Wayne Larrabee to edit his book, If These Walls Could Talk, Green Bay Packers, which is going to be a really great book. He wrote that with Rob Reichel. So that's a pretty cool day job. But then by night, I write for Bleacher Report and Cheesehead TV after a long pursuit by the dogged Jersey Al, who never gave up because he believed in me. And I finally chased in because I
wore her down, that's all. I just wore her down.
Decided I could squeeze one more thing in. And then I squeezed another thing in, joining you guys. So I'm just squeezing everything in. But, I don't like being idle, so it's a good place to be. And then I'm on Twitter at Michelle_NFL.
That was the other word you said efficiently was underscore. That was amazing. I think you said that when you said Jayze. I was like, you said that. It was like, holy cow, I understood it, and yet it took less than 0.2 seconds. That was amazing. Very efficient. Well, Michelle, glad to have you here. And I guess, Jersey Al, speaking of idols, because Michelle just said she doesn't like to be idle, but we do have an idol. A little breaking news about Aaron Nagler. You want to break that for us?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I sat down at the computer about an hour before showtime, as I usually do, and I said, all right, let me start perusing some of the Packer sites and see if anything interesting happened today. And boom, I go to PackerNews.com, and there's a picture of Aaron Nagler. I'm like, what? What's he doing there? And then the news is that he is joining PackersNews.com, and he's going to be a multimedia reporter, social media strategist. So that's pretty big news for the Packers blogosphere. Aaron Nagler hitting it big there.
Shut the front door.
Right?
Oh, my gosh. I remember him when he was just a little person. Do you remember those days? My gosh. That's really cool. That's really cool. What's really funny is that Aaron always used to kind of complain how he, when he was starting Cheesehead TV and he didn't have access on the inside. He wanted more access on the inside to get more information. Well, I think he's got that now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start kicking and screaming. I want access inside the Packers. No, huge congratulations to Aaron on that. I know the guy has worked so hard and has really developed and built a following. Obviously, I put out a tweet and I look, and he's increased his number of tweets by 300 every single day for every tweet of mine. It's hard work to get yourself out there in marketing, and well-deserved, and we look forward to seeing what Aaron gives us this year over at PackersNews.com. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Inspiration to all of us.
Oh, jeez. Let's not go that far. Anyway, let's kick it off. Training camp. Training camp is going on. It's been going on for a while. We were supposed to have a little exhibition game last week. That didn't happen. Just some quick snap reactions from Jersey Al or Michelle. What's standing out for you so far in this training camp? What should the person who's really not paying attention, what's their need to know right now?
For me, one word. Geronimo! I can hear the chants now if he makes this team. The new John Kuhn. I mean, every day, if you read the training camp reports, every day there's been impressive news about him. Obviously, it's just training camp, and we've been down this road before with other, undrafted wide receivers. But, this guy's got some size that some of the other guys haven't had in the past, and in the comments that are being made about him that just throw the ball anywhere near him and he's going to fight for it and come down for it. I mean, hey, I'd love to have a guy like that. So that's been what stood out the most for me. Jason Spriggs would be a second one. The Packers traded up obviously to pick him early in the second round. And I personally had a few concerns because he is a little bit on the light side and needs to get stronger. And, a few of the Packers' other linemen have made comments like that. But on the other hand, they've also said, dude competes, like when they do the one-on-one drills, I think he's got like a 16-3-2 record in one-on-one pass protection drills. So, despite maybe some physical limitations at this point in his career, which, he can improve on with work in the weight room, he's been pretty impressive. So it looks like we have a good backup offensive tackle, something that we probably haven't been able to always say. So those are the two names for me. Michelle, how about you?
Well, I'm just shocked that Jeff Janis isn't the number one receiver and taking first-team reps all over the field. But in all seriousness, I think people were really excited to see how Janis followed up this offseason on that Arizona Cardinals playoff game where he had 145 yards and 2 touchdowns and was just a total beast. And suffice it to say, he's not at that level in training camp. There have been some reports that he's been struggling a little bit, and from the limited, reports I've read, he's not going out and necessarily looking like he did in that game. But in all seriousness, it's a really important offseason for him, and it'll be really interesting to see him develop and see if he can compete with Geronimo and with Jared Abbrederis and the rookie Trevor Davis for a spot in what is probably going to be a 6 wide receiver field. But what I think actually is really interesting that's going on at training camp right now is what Don Barclay is doing. We talked about him a little bit in the news, but he was sort of much maligned last year. He was playing at tackle, which Aaron Nagler wisely pointed out, wisely pointed out on Twitter that he never should have been doing. But actually, given all the injuries to Lindsley and Treader, and DeLog has been out a little bit, Barclay's actually been playing at all 5 spots on the offensive line, and he's been doing really well. I mean, he's shutting down Mike Daniels. He's shutting down rookie Teddy Clark. He looks really good, and a lot of people thought that he would be the one to get cut if it came down to maybe him and Lane Taylor because his contract is more friendly for the cap to be cut. But, that's a GM problem, and I think Mike McCarthy's problem is that he needs to put the best players on the field who's going to give the team the best chance to win. And Barclay's looking really good right now, so I think there's a little bit of a, offensive line competition brewing, which is pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think we all might have been a little too harsh on Mr. Barclay last year coming off that injury. Maybe we were just a little too impatient in thinking he should have just bounced right back to where he had been previously. So, and by all accounts, he's a good guy, a good teammate, so I'm glad to see him doing well, and competition is great, right?
Always.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of positives with this year's training camp, but
say it the right way.
What did I say?
Positive. Say positive.
Positive. There's a lot of positives going on right now. Very pleasant things going on with training camp, but I think most Packer fans right now, if you put some money down, as excited as you're going to be over Geronimo or Spriggs or any of these other guys, there's 2 players right now that everyone just seems to think are going to be the linchpins to get Aaron Rodgers back to where he needs to be, and that, of course, is going to be Jordy Nelson, who had apparently a hiccup and is still on the PUP list. And then, of course, we have Eddie Lacy, who is supposed to be back. But I think you really can say, without those 2 contributing, I'm not sure Geronimo is going to fill Jordy's shoes. What do you guys have for an updates and thoughts on either of those 2 guys, Jordy or Eddie Lacy?
Michelle, you jump in first.
Okay. Well, I firstly want to say I unfortunately can't give credit to exactly who tweeted it because I don't remember, but I did see on Twitter today when Nelson's setback was characterized as a hiccup, someone tweeted, "Can't someone just walk up behind his knee and say boo?" Which I felt kind of
That's funny.
Whoever you are, good job. But, I think we heard that report recently from Aaron Rodgers, who was basically saying that the Packers shut down a ton of their playbook without Nelson in the game. And while I kind of worked really hard last year to rally against the idea that the entire offense collapsed because Jordy Nelson wasn't on the field, it was clear that A, just chunks of the playbook were just removed because they could not run them anymore. And B, there are certain plays that work even if you're not targeting Nelson, even if he's in double, triple coverage. Just the fact that he's on the field will allow the younger, less experienced, less precise route runners to do what they need to do. And so, I think that the good news is Rodgers said, what did he say? He said, "I know what he's all about," when referring to Jordy Nelson. So what he means is he doesn't need endless practice reps in training camp with Nelson to get back on the same page as him. So if Nelson doesn't return until the end of the preseason, or God forbid, if he doesn't play at all this preseason, I don't think that's going to be really a big problem. I think he and Rodgers have the kind of chemistry where they can just get back on track. The problem, I think, will come if Nelson's on that injury list in week 1.
Jersey, what do you have to say about Eddie Lacy so far this year?
What about Eddie Lacy? I can't really say a lot about him until we see him play. I mean, we can look at a million pictures of him on social media and how skinny he is, and we can read the comments from the P90X founder, whose name escapes me at the moment, and we can get all this side information, but really nothing's going to matter until we see, when he takes those first couple of handoffs, how he's running the ball. So that's what I'm just waiting to see. I'm not sure how much they're going to use him this first game, but hopefully we'll see him running with authority again.
So to go into my usual negativity mode, and maybe not negativity mode, but my overly dramatic mode, if Lacy and or Nelson are impaired this year or just hobbled or just not playing 100%, do you think the Packers are going to have what it's going to take? Obviously, we got to see him play tomorrow, and I don't know how much we're going to see Aaron play tomorrow, but are they going to be able to make this offense return back to 2014 glory instead of the 2015 hoblicated mess that they were last year?
I don't see how they could be the mess that they were last year. I mean,
well, if they don't have Lacy or Nelson, that would be like a good ingredient to make that happen.
No, even with that, I mean, I don't. Hopefully, Mike McCarthy learned a lot of lessons last year. He says that he has, when it comes to the offense, and he knows what mistakes he's made, and he'll never make them again. Of course, we've heard these kind of things before, but still, I think he they had all off season to evaluate what the actual issues were and how to resolve them if they were to come up again. So I don't think we would have the same disastrous offense if those two players were not available. But it may not be the offense of 2014. But the way Rodgers has looked, and with some of the new blood in there, Montgomery back, I'd be confident that they'd still find a way to be better than last year.
Yeah,
Michelle, that's a lot of optimism coming from Jersey Al right there. Can you help me out here and help me be a little bit anxious about this?
The thing I would feel anxious about is I think what really. Oh, I'm a constant worrier, so I can turn on the anxiety real quick. But
I like her so much, Al.
I think what worries me a little bit is the Packers obviously didn't go crazy in free agency. They did sign Jared Cook, and think what you will about Jared Cook and his hands. That's a very, very important addition, and I think what the Packers offense, regardless of Nelson, regardless of Lacy, what it's really been missing since Jermichael Finley is someone who could threaten the seam, someone who can mix up the play calling a little bit, someone who allows Aaron Rodgers to just dump the ball off when he's in trouble, and he's been in trouble a lot more recently. The offensive line had a lot of problems last year. And so it's really, really, really good news that Jared Cook is now activated off PUP. The problem is he's Jared Cook, and so I can't say that I think all of their troubles at tight end are fixed. I think it seems overly simplistic, but if you could plug not even a Rob Gronkowski, but a Tyler Eifert or someone into this offense, I think it would look a lot better. And so I think a lot hinges on Jared Cook this year. Obviously, there'll be less pressure on him if Nelson and Cobb and Montgomery and everyone are healthy and back. But I think that's kind of my biggest worry is that was one area they really could have upgraded, and I'm not sure they really did that.
Well, with Jared Cook, I'll take a slightly more. Well, I'll give you the positive of Jared Cook. I mean, you've highlighted some of the negatives. The one positive that I took from day one was he never had Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. Right? He's always had a collection of pretty nondescript quarterbacks throwing the ball in his direction, and now he's got. I won't even say arguably. Now he has the best quarterback in the league throwing him the ball, and I think that'll make a big difference for Jared Cook. And hopefully, the light bulb goes on and says, you know what? I can make myself a lot of money if I have a good year here with Aaron, and we're successful. So I'm thinking, or I'm taking the positive approach on Jared Cook from that angle.
And he's looked great in camp. Reports are that Aaron Rodgers is going to him all the time in the red zone, and he's bringing a lot of things in. So that's all encouraging.
Yeah.
And it's so important, and I'm just going to echo what you said, Michelle. The Packers haven't had this since Jermichael Finley, and I think you've really seen how much the Packers relied on Eddie Lacy. Once Jermichael left, it was like that passing game became a little bit more one-dimensional and didn't have that person to split the field and go up. So Eddie Lacy's power running was important. When you lost Eddie Lacy's power running last year, and you don't have a tight end, I'll go back to your point, Al. That's probably why that offense failed. So I think Jared Cook can be a huge, important addition. And I'll tell you what, if you get someone like Cook and get that tight end who can make something happen at that position, follow that up with a return of Jordy Nelson and a return of Eddie Lacy, who's going to stop this offense?
Who indeed?
It was a rhetorical question, but you know.
Well, that's why we had nothing to say. So.
Hey, why don't we go back in time a little bit? Let's talk a little bit about this weekend. Brett Favre's induction. Just a great moment for Packer fans. It was an important moment. Someone was just saying, who was was that Kenny Stabler who had hardly any Raiders stuff in his locker on display? And what a tough thing that had to be for Raiders fans going there. And I sit there in my heart and I think, gosh, how close were we to having Brett Favre possibly still estranged from the Packers, and maybe seeing just a little purple and green and red and black in there, and maybe not as much love between Favre and Packer fans and the people who came to support him. It was a very important healing process in the last year, and I think it really culminated for a lot of Packer fans who came out in droves and full force to not only support Favre, but obviously also to attend the Hall of Fame game that never happened.
Yeah, a lot of "Go Pack Go" chants the whole night.
Yeah, it was really emotional and wonderful, and it was so great that his speech was by far the longest of the night, and it was just so well delivered. And I as a fan, I really felt reconnected with him. I mean, he was the reason why I became a Packers fan when I was 7 years old, and I think a lot of that got lost. And then, of course, we're all excited about Aaron Rodgers. But I think that it was just a really important moment for him to kind of, I mean, I think we got all of that last year when he came back. But this just really, I mean, I know grown men were crying watching that speech. So it was really touching.
Yeah,
one thing that really hit me, I think, that with Favre, and you noticed it last year at the Packer induction, and you heard him say it again on Saturday. I have respect for this. I regret nothing. I'm moving ahead with no regrets. And I think there are still Packer fans out there who are expecting him to come forward and be reticent and to be apologetic and to beg for forgiveness. And I don't think they're ever going to get it. But B, I like the fact that he stands up and says, you know what, I made some decisions. I don't know if they were great decisions, but the decisions I made, we rolled the dice, and this was a chance. I came within one interception of another Super Bowl, and now I'm back with my family, both my Packer family and my real family. And you have to have respect. Well, you don't have to, but I do. I respect the fact that he's going to stand by those decisions, and even if it caused Packer Nation to split, in the end, we're all back together and we're all family. I think it was a neat thing, and I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a genuine wear your heart on your sleeve type, you know, and whatever happens, like you said, and like you said, he's gonna do what he thinks is best. He's gonna do it to the fullest, and whatever happens, and no apologies. So yeah, it's hard for me to fathom Packer fans sitting out there still waiting for him to apologize for something. But you're right, they are out there. I just can't fathom it. But you know, they're, like you said, they're not going to get that, and they really, in my opinion, don't deserve to get it.
And I think that there are some Favre critics still out there, and I'm pretty sure that a Favre critic is the one who did the mold for his bust. Because the bust really doesn't look much like Brett. It looks a little more like Dustin Hoffman.
I didn't see it, but
oh, yeah. We found bobbleheads that look more like Brett Favre than his actual bust. But
maybe he'll get a Lucille Ball treatment, and they'll redo it later in life.
Oh yeah, you heard about that, huh?
Yeah.
whatever it takes. But let's move ahead just a little bit to the actual Hall of Fame game, and I want to hear where you guys stand on this. We know it quite early in the whole scheme of things that it looks like there's some issues. There's the old Snickers guy commercial says, "Hey, nice job, but who are the chefs?" Great googly moogly. Apparently is the one doing the field, and apparently we have paint that turned into concrete. So the NFL decides to call off the game, cancels the game. Tons of Packer fans there. Tons of Packer fans who are tuning in to watch. They cancel. Are you angry? Not a rhetorical question.
Michelle?
Here's the thing. When the Packers were announced, I'm gonna give it to you straight.
I sense a waffle coming already.
I'm not that angry because when the Packers were announced as participating in the Hall of Fame game, everyone was complaining because it's an extra preseason game and it's more chances for injury and it's meaningless and, blah, blah, blah. And then, even if they had played the game, none of the first-team offense was really going to play. We knew Rodgers wasn't going to play. And I have to ask, as a fan, you bought tickets to go. I didn't buy tickets, but, people bought tickets to go there. So, okay, you're going to go there and you're going to watch a meaningless game. You're going to watch Joe Callahan throw to Geronimo. But what you got instead was a kind of cool, autograph session and fan fest, which, I don't know, at the end of the day, is that not a more desirable event for a fan?
Yeah, the game certainly.
It was a nice thing to do in place of it. I think it was very nice for them to do.
Yeah, the game itself, I actually have gone to a Hall of Fame game once when the Packers were playing, and after about 3 plays, it's like no interest from anybody in what's going on. It's because you don't know any of the names, or at least at that time. Probably now, of course, I would. But, so I guess if something had happened with the induction ceremonies, you'd probably have a riot. But when it comes to just a meaningless game like that, I think everybody kind of took it in stride.
So anger level 1 to 10, Michelle, you would put it at?
2. I mean, people not doing their jobs right is always frustrating, especially when it's in the NFL bureaucracy area. So that's frustrating. But I think coming from the fan perspective, I mean, I wasn't there, but even if I had been, I would say 2 or 3.
2 or 3. 2.5 for Michelle. Where's your anger level at, Jersey Al?
Well, had I spent a couple $1,000s to go out there for the weekend and all the festivities, and then the game got canceled, I'd probably be a 2. But being that I was just sitting on my couch and said, "Oh well, now I can do something else," a 1.
Hey, it's the Olympics.
Exactly. now I can get into the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would be at a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say I'm at a 1 because it's an exhibition game, and there's just looking at what happened to Jordy Nelson last year. Personally, we should just go to 2 preseason games and just do a lot of inter-squad scrimmages like they used to do in the old Cheese League. You need these guys for 16 games, and you need them for the playoffs, and we're still wondering if Jordy Nelson is going to make it back after getting hurt in a stupid preseason game. So, no, I have no issues with it whatsoever. I have a family friend who was there and was Facebooking pictures of her kids in tears, sitting in the stands, and I felt bad, but only for a little bit because, they enjoyed a really good weekend, and they're going to get their money back, and they got some autographs, and it's, in the end, you're watching an exhibition game. So, next question, and I'm going to have to direct this at you, Michelle, because you're the angriest out of the 3 of us. Clearly,
I'm just
angry
fired
Michelle.
up.
Clearly fired up and emotional.
Her as Angry Michelle.
Yes, Angry Michelle.
Angry Michelle.
Are you so angry? Are you so angry that you would file a lawsuit against the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame for wrongful mismanagement and misconduct?
I'm a realist. If Tom Brady, who has more money than anyone, cannot successfully litigate against the NFL, I'm certainly not going to try to bring a suit against the NFL and its endless resources. So no, I would not. But I'm not a very litigious person to begin with, so even if I were really angry.
So I assume you're saying this because somebody has done that?
Yes, they have. 4 Packer fans have filed a class action lawsuit filed in the Northern District of Ohio.
Class action of 4, is that it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the minimum definition for a class action? That's really,
I don't know.
I'm curious.
No. Now, my legal knowledge isn't that high, but I believe if they file a class action, that whatever they would find it goes for everyone. But I did check my Twitter followers and everything. I don't see these names in here. It's Alan Beland and Carmelo Treviso are 2 of the 4 plaintiffs named as purchasers of tickets. There's something I want my name to be remembered for forever. This is the complaint from, I got to read this to you because it'll make you laugh. As it became clear the game would not be played, defendants continued to maintain a facade of normality for fans and the general public. Even though the Colts and Packers were told the game had been canceled at around 6:40 p.m., on information and belief, defendants purposely told the fans nothing, and the plaintiffs suffered significant damages.
Significant.
Can you do me a favor, Stevie?
Fiscal.
Can you do me a favor? Can you read?
Yes.
Can you read everything in that voice, please? Going forward, from this point on.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Come on, that was so good.
No, that's my dripping with sarcasm, mocking voice. And this is just one of those things that Packer fans do that 31 teams of fans are going to make fun of us for. I mean, seriously, this is something like New England fans would do, And we're a class action lawsuit, for Christ's sake. You don't see the Colts fans doing this.
I know that second name. I'm friends with him on Facebook, Carmelo Treviso.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh.
Let's get him on the show.
Sorry for insulting your friend. Well, Carmelo, if you are listening, I would like you to call in to the show right now, please. We'd like to talk to you, and Michelle would like to offer you some free legal advice.
Yes.
Boy, we really are expanding our reach here on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
And we have good deals on used cars also. Why limit ourselves? Go ahead.
Exactly. All right. We're getting to the end here. Let's take it around the horn. Any decent last shots you guys have? Topics you just want to bring up and discuss? Spit it out and let's do it.
Can we talk about Jeff Janis for like the next 15 minutes?
Well, that would definitely increase our listenership.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
I really should have a Jeff Janis sting.
Yeah.
Janis. I'm going to work on that. You know what he reminds me of? And I actually was talking with Rahor last night about this, and we both agreed on this almost simultaneously. Some people are making the Tebow comparison. I find it to be the Bill Schrader comparison.
Bill Schrader. Is Janis an ass?
He was just the idea that here was a guy who came
Bill Schrader was.
Well, he was. Do you remember Mike Holmgren grabbing him by the face mask on the sideline and chewing him out? Yeah, I mean, he was an ass. But when I used to work at Wisconsin Lions camp, and the guy who was in the cabin with me ran track with him at UW La Crosse, and this was while he was still practice squad Bill Schrader, and this guy just glowed about Bill Schrader. What a wonderful guy he was. Oh my gosh, we're so rooting for him. And I remember I said, oh, that was great. And so I became like this really huge Bill Schrader super fan. 84 was my high school number, and Sterling Sharp was gone. So gosh darn it, I'm going to be the biggest Bill Schrader fan. And he was good. He had these little moments that made you think, oh my gosh, he's going to do something. And then he just leveled out, just never did anything. And then he, like you said, then his attitude came in, and then he just kind of went poof. Is that a word,
Poof?
Michelle?
Poof?
No, attitude.
Attitude.
It's like a combination of ass and attitude. But anyway,
you could submit it to wherever, and maybe they'll make it a word.
I wish I knew a book editor, but anyway. So there's a point where So, I mean, there's that analogy. I just see that a little bit with Janice, that here's a guy, not maybe through any fault of his own, but we get these great expectations. I mean, how many people have been, Janice for the last year? My gosh, start Janice. He should be, catching a hit. And then, of course, the Hail Mary at the end of last year. Oh, for Christ's sake, you may as well just have anointed him. And now he's very happy.
I just want to say, I have an idea for Jeff Janice. I have this idea.
Hit it.
Remember the Monty Python movie, Life of Brian?
I'm not that old.
Dead silence? No? Nobody?
I'm a millennial, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Michelle and I aren't that old, Jersey Al. You're old.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, put yourself in that category, CD. Go ahead. Let's see if anybody falls for it.
Michelle and I are really close in age, so we don't remember those old-time movies.
Yeah, then
was it in black and white? Did it have sound?
We're both 21.
This probably then won't make sense to you guys. But anyway, the movie Life of Brian was about this guy. It was back, in the times of Jesus, that everybody thought he was Brian, which Brian was the acronym or pseudonym for Jesus. He was pretending it was like he was Jesus, and everybody is praising him and bending at his feet, and his name was something else completely. And he, throughout the whole movie, I'm not Brian, leave me alone. Like, I'm not Jesus, leave me alone. So I'm going to do Life of Janice, where everybody thinks he's the savior. Guys, you have to watch this movie. Go ahead. Life of Brian, okay? I know it means nothing to you now, what I just said, but you'll get it if you watch the movie.
Did it star Charlie Chaplin?
Oh, seriously, CD, you don't know that? You don't know Monty Python movies?
I know Monty
Python movies.
Yeah, I just know
I just don't know that one.
The ones made like in the 80s and beyond mostly, but.
Well, yeah, this was actually newer. Yeah. Newer than the Holy Grail, which you probably know. It actually came later, but anyway, go ahead.
Maybe I only know good movies. Michelle, your last shot here. What do you want to discuss?
Anything?
Yes, anything. Like, what is killing you right now? What do you want to get out and talk about?
I just always want to talk about John Crockett. Always.
Well, let's do that.
That's just my favorite topic of conversation. Everyone knows that I have been in his corner since day one. And I think...
I actually did not know that until just now.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a thing on Twitter.
Ooh. And what is the reason for that, Michelle?
He's just great. I mean, so I think as long as the Packers are good...
Hey, wait a minute. We need a little bit better analysis than he's just great.
He's just great. So,
I know you got it, too.
As long as the Packers are going to continue to feature Lacey and Starks, who, as you were saying earlier, Al, are both power runners, you need a third option who can come in with a different running style and shake things up a little bit. And whether you're going to, substitute guys in on entire drives or whether you're going to just bring someone different in on third down, you need that kind of change of pace back. And John Crockett is such a good change of pace back, especially when paired with those two guys. He has great receiving ability out of the backfield. He was a crazy performer at the Combine. He set records for tons of drills among all the running backs in his year. And he also set a ton of school records in college, too, as well, at North Dakota State with Carson Wentz, one of my other favorite players. But he doesn't play for the Packers, so we won't talk about him. But I think that Crockett is really deserving of this kind of third halfback spot that the Packers will keep open. I think that he's got some good competition. There's some undrafted rookies, Don Jackson and Brandon Burks, who will be competing with him. But I thought it was a mistake when the Packers kept Alonzo Harris over him last year, and I don't think they should make the mistake of letting him go again this year.
Okay. Lots of love for John Crockett.
Absolutely.
He's got a super fan.
Because he's just great.
He's just great.
I love it.
Great.
I love it. I'm really happy. All right. I will say my topic, my last shot, I think all eyes need to be on, well, I guess they're no longer on New Orleans Saint John Kuhn, who has been a staple of the Packers for I don't know how many years. So I'm really interested tomorrow night to see how Aaron Ripkowski is going to be in the offense? Is he going to be used in the same way as John Kuhn? Because, there's a lot of big plays that John Kuhn made a couple good blocks on. And heaven knows, if you need 2 yards on a 4th down and goal from the 2-yard line, generally speaking, he'll get you at least 1.5. So is Aaron Ripkowski going to be able to take over some of that ball-carrying duties, but just be kind of that backfield powerhouse? And I don't know what you guys have seen during camp, but I'm looking forward to seeing it in action.
Okay. You, CD, would be the one person that would focus on the fullback. The most exciting thing for you. Yes, okay.
Fullbacks are people too.
Yeah, well, and punters.
There you go. What are you? Are you prejudiced against fullbacks? What is it, Jersey Al? Come on. They are. Come on.
The dying position in the NFL.
That it is. All right. I think we're getting to the end here. Should we get to our? Yes, we're going to get now to our Packer game predictions, which won't be silly at all. Packer game predictions.
Cheesehead Radio. Packers game predictions.
Tomorrow night, I will be in attendance.
Woo! Oh. Reporting live from the game.
I'll be periscoping live from the game. Got myself some tickets thanks to our good friends at theticketking.com.
Awesome.
Yes, very, very excited. We're taking on the Cleveland Browns in what would have been our second preseason game. Let's take it around the horn. What are you looking to see happen tonight? What do you predict? Doesn't even have to be a final score because scores don't matter. But what do you predict tomorrow night? Let's start with the amazing Jersey Al Bracco.
I predict 5 touchdowns for Jeff Janis. 2 as a wide receiver, 2 on kickoff returns, and 1 on a Hail Mary from Randall Cobb on a jet sweep option play.
Very good.
There we go.
Nothing silly there. Michelle. Michelle, what do you predict?
Well, first of all, I predict that Rodgers and Hundley aren't going to play, so we're going to see a lot of Joe Callahan. I predict that Joe Callahan and Geronimo will connect on a big touchdown pass, which would be very exciting. And I predict that Jared Cook, if he plays, will not drop any passes. High hopes.
And my name is C.D. Angeli. I predict that on Saturday, someone on JS Comments will claim that there is now an Aaron Rodgers, Joe Callahan quarterback controversy. That's my prediction. Hope to see some good stuff from the kid, though. I think that's great.
Yep.
All right. Are we set to close down our first show of the season?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Good. All right. I can no longer find my whistle or the stadium horn. There we are. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. I'm turning down the volume, though, first, okay? Because I think I'm going to blow out your speaker.
All right. I'll put the
headphones
back
on. Here we go. Ready?
On.
Okay. Here we go. Well, that was
very gentle. Thank you for being gentle with us. And
it sounded like
thank you.
That's a Toyota Prius horn there. Hang on. There we go.
And thank you all so much out there for joining us tonight on Cheesehead Radio. Make sure you head on over to PackersTalk.com where you can explore several of our unique Packers podcasts. And please follow Packers Talk Net on Twitter. And if you can, like the Packers Talk Network page on Facebook. Cheesehead Radio and all the Packers Talk podcasts are available on iTunes. Just Google Packers Talk iTunes and you will find it. Be sure to subscribe and please leave us a review if you can. You can also listen by using Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or whatever your favorite podcatching app is. Please finally be sure to support our sponsor, Ticket King. You can find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com. That's a wrap. Go Paco.
All right. Nice job, Michelle, on your first day with us.
Thank you.
We will be talking to you next week. Until then, good night. Go Pack Go.
Good night, all.